Hey guys, Robert here. Today with me, first time in a while on any of my shows, Carrie.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Nerdygirlcreates, and I am happy to be here. God, it's been a long time.
Oh yes, it
Long
has.
time
And
overdue.
long time ago, we've been wanting to do a stream for quite a long time because there is one big topic we've been really wanting to talk about. Something that we both agree is really ridiculous how heated it's got, especially
Oh yeah.
recently. Especially
Oh
even
yeah.
with the sub versus dub. And we're both anime fans. Carrie more than I am, but still,
hmm
I've been around the block long enough to remember the heyday of when so many things got anime at English dubs, ADV and all that stuff. And it was the point where, of course, everyone thought, oh, if we get the license for these animes, it's going to sell off because people were wanting it. Unfortunately, ADV especially learned the hard way. Yeah, no. If there's not a market for it, you're going for a niche market, don't break the bank.
Oh yeah. I was also one of those lucky people who used to go on YouTube and watch like the multiple videos for one episode that somebody would fan translate.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yep. I remember those.
Those were the
And
days.
do you remember back in the day when people kept used to think that, oh, Dragon Ball Z, they swore all the time. Oh, and Sailor Moon, they were naked all the time. It's like,
Oh yeah.
what? I
Yeah,
remember those days.
they have no idea how much of that was censored.
And it's also the fact that most of this because of fan subs that skewed people's views on things, where they thought, oh, it's like, no, they're not actually swearing. The fan subbers put it in there because what they were saying, you could just put in any swear word in there.
Yeah, because you didn't have people who were sticking to the script. That's what I'll just say.
Exactly. I
They
mean,
weren't.
but it's like, okay, but here's something that Karen and I both agree on. We agree that we're one of those who definitely feel like reading the subtitles can be annoying. It takes you away because you're looking at the bottom of the screen and you're missing everything else on top. It's like you gotta see the movie twice to get out what's going on. First time to see it, but have no idea what's being said, and then another one where you have to read it all and then you miss everything else.
Yeah, and I have friends like who they're multitasking while they're watching anime, so it's kind of hard to like multitask and stop and stare at the screen to read.
Exactly.
So sometimes
Exactly.
they'll prefer it.
Yeah, I always prefer the dub. Now, let's be honest. There are varying levels and qualities of dub. We can both agree to that.
Mm-hmm.
There are dubs that utterly suck. There are butchered dubs. There are dubs that are
Yes.
awesome. I mean, I think we can agree this. I would definitely say one of the, it still was one of the early before stuff like Pioneer and all that stuff. One of the best dubs I would still say was Ranma One Half.
Mm-hmm.
That had an incredible dub cast. I mean, most of which are still going on today.
I think dub has improved because I remember like early on when like anime was just kind of like
Speed
getting
Racer.
its. Yeah, it was kind of like, oh god. So I got used to sub mainly because, like I was saying earlier, doing the YouTube videos where people were doing their own translations. And then certain anime, like for me, One Piece, I'm very used to hearing the voices in Japanese. So when I switch over to dub, it's weird.
Right.
But then
I
there's
can understand
other
that.
anime I've only watched in dub that I can't switch to Japanese because then it's weird. So it's like
Sailor Moon for me.
Yeah. Sailor Moon's a good one.
And for me, it's the original
it's like
dub.
Dragon Ball. I'm so used to the dub voices.
Which Dragon Ball dub? Funimation?
The recent, yeah.
Yep, but I would say this though. For me, when it comes to Sailor Moon, I'm so used to the original cast. Even though you have a star-studded later cast, I'm just so used to the original actress, Terry Hawk, and so many of the others that really and thankfully, knowing that most of the actors who came on board for for the Vids dub, most of them said they got their influence. They wanted to go into anime because of the Sailor Moon dub, which would have me fooled when you hear so many people trash it.
Oh no, it's like Bleach. Bleach is another one I'm used to dubbed. with
Right.
Johnny
I mean,
Young Bosch as
yep.
Ichigo.
Yeah.
So it's
And
like I'm waiting for more dub for the new series.
exactly. And again, are there doing dubs that go out of their way and butcher things? Yes. And I say though,
Mm-hmm.
as you might get the occasional ones currently where the writer slipped in their politics and everything, but
Yes,
it's still
like
nothing compared to Escaflowne or Cardcaptor Sakura.
right. See, Bianca and I actually covered that on the manga side, where we've caught people inserting stuff into manga for
Right?
translation, and then somebody's translated it for us from Japanese. It's like, nope, nope.
Nope. I mean, there's some kinds. I mean, I gotta ask you this: when it comes to manga, which would you prefer? A straight-on adaptation, or one that takes a little bit of liberties but seems to fit more of a Western reading sensibility?
That's a good question because there's a lot of stuff, and I forgot the name of it. If I could remember its name, sometimes it's really hard to translate it word for word from Japanese into English. And there was
Yep.
one recently where it was about a certain type of like game that is, Japanese based, and the
Right.
whole logic and language to it could not be really translated well over to English, so the translators quit.
Oh, I don't blame them then.
Yeah, so it's not an easy question. Like there's times where I want it to stay as true to the original dialogue as it can, but I also am well aware that it's not always easy to be exact.
Well, for me, my prime example has always been Love Hina. The Tokyo Pop one is what I got the whole collection of the Tokyo Pop translations. And it takes liberties. And unfortunately, because it was translating as the manga was coming out in Japan, there was some stuff that ended up being important later on that they didn't realize they butchered the translation. Like if a couple goes to Toto Ayu together, they'll live happily ever after. They just went counting it was Tokyo University, not realizing that Tokyo U actually had more of an important significant later on. Of course, they wouldn't know that. That was Kanakamatsu hadn't gotten to that point yet. So by the time it did, it was like, oh crud.
I'm going to use this right now, and I'm going to give a shout out to a certain channel, but One Piece is like really big right now thanks to the live action and everything. But there's a lot of fan theories that go around with what's going to happen in the future of One Piece. But there's this really interesting channel called Just Dawn, who they are Japanese. So they actually give you a little bit more exact translation of certain things. Like they're like, okay, yes, this word could mean that, but it could also mean this. So in this scenario, this might be what's actually happening. So I like to watch that channel. But again, I get it's not always easy to do an exact translation. Just don't change it to your own personal agenda. That's
exactly.
Exactly.
Now, but I was saying, the Tokyo Pop Love Hina, they would put in some occasional references, like to the point where they're supposed to be getting drunk, and they say, "Let's do it." Okay, you two are trying to get into Tokyo U. Trivia time! And they put in a pop culture trivia question. They put in an episode 1 reference in there. Clearly that wasn't the Japanese, but it kind of fit the scene. But from what I've heard since then, they've had a different company doing it, which is much more straight at translation. Yeah. And most people say, it's stilted, it's dull. It feels just like, again, you're just like, almost a perfect translation, but there's no life to it. There's no energy to it. You're just reading it.
Exactly. Should we talk about the most notorious dubbing ever?
Which one?
The 4 Kids. 4 Kids.
The One Piece. The 4 Kids. One Piece. And here, funny thing is, let's be honest. One Piece was getting big even then, but I don't think 4 Kids. I think 4 Kids more went along with it. Well, hey, hominids. 4 Kids went along with it because people were pushing on them to do it, but at the same time, it's like, you know what I'm saying, right? Like they didn't know what they were getting into.
They were putting. It's like I'm going to date myself right now, but it's like when I was a kid, I watched Voltron, and I was so big on Voltron, and I didn't realize it was like originally a Japanese anime. And then years later, I found out about Go Lions and just exactly how much they edited the hell out and changed the story.
which is also then funnier how you realize stuff like Robotech. People like to dump on that sometimes, but when you realize it actually was much more faithful than you thought.
Yes.
And I always give props
yes.
to Robotech. I always give props to Robotech. It took 3 different animes and made it one narrative. I always liked that idea of them doing that. You have that. You have Star Blazer. Again, very faithful. It's when you find out and you actually realize how faithful it really was. You're just like, oh. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the other problem. Like back then, you had to deal with a lot of censorship because you're going to have it for kids. That was the same problem with 4Kids dubs.
And funny thing is, when it goes back to Sailor Moon, one interesting thing I found out is, did you know that it's a miracle it came out as well as it did?
Yes.
Most of what we got from those first 65 episodes was recorded within 90 days. And you had a cast shakeup where the original director, who also voiced Serena, left. She quit because they were basically forcing her to do one takes.
Yeah.
You have stuff like that going on within 90 days. That means from the very first episode all the way until in the middle of R.
Now, let me ask a question. Do you think it's because of those things with like 4Kids and what happened with like Sailor Moon and all that people are now weary of dub?
No. But especially with Sailor Moon, Sailor Moon was even then was notorious for the purist mindset of pretty much anyone trashed Sailor Moon with one exception. I've heard a lot of people who were pure subtype purists still like Zoisite, even though in the case where you made a dude a chick, they loved her voice actress. Because they added the noble woman laugh and everything.
I don't know. What do you think is behind it? What
do I think is behind it? It's something that was always there, but I think then you have people who just jump on it. I think there's 2 different groups. 3 groups. You have the purists, you have the grifters, and you have the disillusioned. All right.
And do you think it's also this whole like social media thing where everything needs to stick to the culture it's from, to the point where it's like ridiculous? I mean, I had people get into it with me about the live action One Piece. They're like, why isn't everybody Japanese? And I'm like, because the characters aren't.
Exactly. It's what bothers me. It's like if they made a gunsmith cat and say, why aren't they Japanese? Because it's in Chicago!
Exactly. It's like you have a Japanese character there, and later on you get introduced to more. But what was the beauty of One Piece is it's very diverse.
Exactly.
And so it's like, it's got to be all Japanese because it's made by Japanese, and it's... I'm like, no!
Again, like I said, it's just by assuming, it's an anime, gunsmith cats must have Japanese actresses. No! Like I said, they're in Chicago. Why? Because you're more likely to have a car chase in the Chicago highway, relatively, I mean, compared to Japan.
It's true. And it's like Vinland Saga. It's Vikings. It's like, they're all Vikings.
It's like you're not going... Okay, there are some things, I get it. Like Sailor Moon. They are Japanese. They don't look it, but they are.
No, really, if you look at Japanese anime, how much of it actually looks like Japanese people?
And why do you think when you had them asking the actual Japanese people their opinion on the cast of Scarlett Johansson and the Ghost in the show, they were like, she looks how she looks in the show. Because they're saying
they were
she
the biggest defenders.
White. Yeah, because the character looked of it. Yeah, like I say, the character looked white. Oh, speaking of which, can I give you an example of a good dub change that took something that wouldn't have worked in Japanese if they trade back to Ranma 1/2? You had Tatiwaki Kuno. He would normally speak in haikus. What did they do in the English dub? They had him speak Shakespearean type of quotes, these type of Shakespearean-esque poetry instead, and it still got the same point across.
Yes. And again, I think people don't understand. Translation's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be to the point. Sometimes you have to do something that Western audience will understand.
And worst of all, here's something I don't think a lot of people realize. It's been more the Japanese studio's fault. Many of them are starting to become more and more putting their foot down and wanting to be direct translations and not taking liberties.
Yeah, like there was one company, I forgot, oh god, I'm blanking. They had done an interview with about like, would you change stuff to appeal more to Western audience? Would you do this? And they're like, no, because it's successful the way it is. So why would we change it if it's already successful? Because their number one buyers, and this is what people don't understand, from anime and manga, it's always going to be Japan first.
Yes.
It's always going to be Japan first.
And back to Lavina, the English dub, one of the more notorious ones. Besides having a star-studded cast, it's considered a bad translation, English dub. Why though? Because from what I heard, the Japanese directors threw their weight around. Not Ken Akamatsu, the anime director threw their weight around.
But you know what? Speaking of that, love Hina, the creator,
Hina, Ken Akamatsu.
Yeah, Hina. He ran for political office so he can get a position to protect anime and manga from being subjected to all this stuff they don't want done.
Exactly. And he's still doing, and even then he's still struggling.
I know, because, you still have to deal with all the red tape and political BS.
Exactly. But again, no, I look at some recent animes. Like there's that one, what's it called? It had those three girls trying to make an anime movie. The one that people kept saying was very much like Ed. They were like a female Ed, and Eddie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I showed you that one, remember? On Twitter? That one where everyone's like, oh, it feels like a female. I see some people enjoying it. Then I see people trash it and say, this is part of the problem. It's like, okay, I'm getting two extremes here. What the hell? And I watched it. I liked the acting. I thought the acting was really good.
Yeah, there was. I think you got these people now who are being conditioned to believe that if something is created by a certain culture, it has to be only that culture, and they miss the concept of the story.
Yep.
And how to appeal to a wider audience. Not everybody's going to sit there and watch subtitle. I mean, my dad used to love Kung Fu movies. Most of the time he watched them in those cheesy dubs with the most whitest American guy you could get. Yeah. And I'd sit there and go,
Godzilla. You know what? Funny enough with Godzilla, Ingrid and I a couple of years ago did our Godzilla marathon. There was only one of the movies that had an annoying voice, in my opinion, and that was Godzilla, the Emperor of the Sea Monster, where you had a guy talking like this. It's like, what? Why the hell does this guy have that kind of voice?
Except for the one where they edited in Raymond Burr.
Okay, no, that was the original movie, and that worked because it actually kept the Japanese language, except when he was in the room.
Yes.
And I liked that. That worked.
Yes. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of dub for like even the martial art or like Asian films have gotten better because sometimes a lot of the actors themselves can speak English, so they will dub their own voices. Like I think even Jet Li was doing it for a while. Yeah. It's gotten better, but my dad could not have the patience to sit there and read subtitles while watching.
Neither could I.
So it's a preference. I think if you're somebody like me, if it's certain anime, I'm used to subtitles, I'm used to hearing those voices, I'm going to stick to that. But you have other people who want to do dub.
Exactly.
It's not a problem. It's not a big deal.
And like I say this, there's a lot of animes out. Those who keep complaining about how bad the animes are handled, I have to say this is, look, and how many of you actually have watched a lot of anime dubs? There have been ones where the quality we've been getting matches even back during the peak in the late 90s, early 2000s with ADV. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Right. It's and like, a lot of the dub a lot of dub actors have become celebrities themselves. I remember being at cons and they'd have lines as long as the regular movie actors.
Exactly. I mean, some of them deserve them, others do not.
Yeah.
But it's like what are these people who are complaining expecting from the quality of it? I mean, can you give me a question of what something you felt was a legit bad redub recently?
let's see, what have I watched in dub recently that was fun? Because I've been watching a lot of subtitles.
Right.
I watched. Now, I wouldn't say it's completely bad, but this is one of my like kind of like irks sometimes with dub. Like when you have certain characters, especially when they're female characters, and if they're ones that are supposed to be very meek, or you either have two extremes. You have like the very high pitch low, and it kind of grates on your nerves.
The moes.
Right, or you have that screeching kid voice. Like I know
That's
a lot
what
of people
Monogatari
don't like.
voices are.
Like a lot of people I know cannot watch One Piece dub because of Luffy's voice.
Ugh.
Because he's got a very high. It's a woman voicing him, and she does a very high pitch. I'm Luffy. It's
But
like
it
I can't
matches
even
the
get
energy. It matches the energy.
Yes. Yes, and I don't have a problem with some people say it grates on their nerves, and I'm like, I get that with like a lot of these like female characters, like the little kid girl or like the very meek girl. Depending on who's doing it, it can grate on me, and I'm just like,
oh yeah, I hear you. But man, I'll say this. For example, Spy Family. Look at that's a great dub.
yes, it is. They did an excellent job with Spy Family.
But I still see
There's another one.
Yep.
My Happy Marriage did a good dub. Even though the female character speaks very low, it's not an annoying tone because this is a girl who's abused. I think they do a good job on that too.
Right. What was that other one with that girl with the big breasts that were that people that she's in her?
You're gonna have to narrow.
They did the shorter girl, the one everyone gets in with a kid.
Oh yeah, oh god. Don't toy with me. It's the other one.
It's a U. Her name has a U in it.
Yeah. Oh god, I see her in my head, and I can't think of the freaking name.
I know. I'm seeing her in my head. Well, yeah. You know what I mean. Oh jeez, what?
Yuka-chan wants to hang out.
Yeah, that one. I mean, even
I'm not really saying it right.
Yeah, but like with her, I know it's Monica Real voice here, but it's not bad though. And voice with her, and most of the other characters are still good because it matches the character. Which again, say what you will about Funimation. They're usually good at getting majority of the right cast. Unfortunately, what I have some nepotism hires, yes, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be.
Yeah, I think you got something in the chat over there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, geez, I know. Look, figure drawing. Look, I get your opinion on it. I haven't seen it. Carrie has, and she likes it. Yeah, as you said, that's your opinion.
For something I totally thought was not going to work live action, One Piece, I think, did. I understood some of the changes. I don't agree with everything. And you could go check my live stream I did Tuesday night. Plus, I have an article about it on Substack where I talked about some of the stuff I didn't like. But compared to all the other ones I've seen outside of like the Roman Note. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I think it's a lot better. I think the effects were pretty good. I would not want to see it CGI. I am not somebody who really is big on CGI. Like, because I think it's overdone, and I think they rely on it too much. I still like an element of like hand-drawn animation. I don't mind some CG on it. Like, I cannot get into the new Trigun.
Right.
Because the visuals to me is just kind of like computerized. And I'm like, it doesn't feel fluid.
Yeah, especially compared to the original.
Ultraman on Netflix too. I love the manga, but I can't watch the anime because it's like very computerized. And there's a lot of that stupid shadowing I hate.
He's asking, what did you see Mutant Mayhem? I've seen it. I enjoyed it.
I have not seen it yet.
I had some issues. April being a big one, but otherwise, I thought it was good.
I saw the usual suspects talking about that.
Especially once it was made very clear, her designer was one of the animators, and it was a self-design. I won't say self-insert, but a self-design. Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't she cosplaying as the character herself, too?
Pretty much, but I would say this. You know, one of the cases where I knew people were going to have issues with the One Piece movie, no matter what, was when people were expecting did you say Nami to be looking at the way? Why did you have a big rack? That's her time skip for herself, not her.
I know. I was arguing with people because and you know what was funny? A lot of those complaints came from Japanese male fans.
Because
I'm sitting there going,
they
want, because I guess they know it's live action. They want her to have it now, so later it'll make sense. And I'm like, no. And I think the actress is very pretty. I have other complaints about that, which you could check out on my live stream. And we can talk about it later. But that was not an issue for me, because to me, she looked like the character that way.
Still better than Faye.
Type skip. Oh, Jesus, don't get me on Faye. I couldn't even get through that entire series. My brother tortured himself and watched the whole thing and came upstairs and goes, I want my life back. I want all that time I wasted.
The fact that, figure drawing, if she'll watch it, if she's ever interested in seeing it, all right? But let her decide.
I'm going to. I just haven't had a chance. There's a lot of things going on in my life, so I haven't had a chance.
That's fair. But I'll say this, though. And when it comes, just so many of these live action stuff, like I still put Alita Battle Angel and even Speed Racer at the higher echelons of it.
I said that on my live stream, because I said, do you think this is like the best live action anime? And we were talking about it. I said, there's been a lot of live action anime people didn't realize were based off anime or manga. Like the Tom Cruise movie, Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow, or Live,
Edge of Tomorrow is based on a manga.
Live, Die, Repeat.
On a manga. And then you like Battle Angel Alita is both at a manga and anime. And I'm like, Speed Racer to me, I liked.
The creator preferred the movie.
Speed Racer.
And I gotta say, what were people expecting from Speed Racer? That was a perfect adaptation of the anime. Did people really think, figure drawing? I'm saying that because not everyone. I didn't know what Carrie the Finney was on Seeing Mutant Mayhem. Yeah. So it's just simply saying,
nothing. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't.
I know.
Then we were talking about. There's a lot of Korean dramas that are based off webtoons that are very popular, that people don't realize are based off webtoons.
Exactly.
The special effects in One Piece were actually better than I was expecting, because that was my biggest concern. There's a lot of stuff in One Piece I kept sitting there thinking it wasn't going to translate well, like Luffy's rubber powers, because they have not done that well in Hollywood movies.
Yeah, look at Ms. Marvel.
I know. And people were saying after this drop, you could have done it.
Yeah.
Done it. My problem was just certain changes and certain things that they dragged out in it. But
it's a typical. It's the typical I just want to say it's the typical adaptation tweaking more than it was. They didn't understand the source material. It's more like they understood it, but then they made choices that you didn't agree with. But at the same time, you can understand why they made it.
Yeah. I have not watched the second Spider-Verse. I did watch the first one. I liked it, but I don't know.
I like the second one.
I haven't watched the second one. The effects, like with the lights and everything, sometimes bothers me watching it. Not that the story wasn't good, but it was just kind of like all the flashing and everything. After a while, I'm like,
oh yeah, I understand that. I completely understand that. And for me, I would say I liked it, and I went in knowing it was going to be part 1 of part 2, so I wasn't as upset by the ending. I know. Tristan knowing all. I think we did try to tell her.
Well, and that was like my thing with One Piece. I thought it should have been more episodes to flesh things out, because certain characters did suffer with their backstory.
Mm-hmm.
You should have had, like, they were originally supposed to do 10. Next season they might, because there's a lot they got to put in, knowing where they're going to go next.
Mm-hmm. But
so they might.
But back to what the
I've read Slam Dunk.
Is it good?
I've read Slam Dunk, but I haven't watched it.
All right, but again, though, this whole thing with it, especially when I'm like, we're seeing people saying, "Oh, get rid of Western actors. They all suck and don't deserve to be paid. Everyone be voiced by Japanese. It's like, what are you, Japanophiles or something? What the hell? But when I say most Japanese people can't stand these people.
Right. You're going to limit your audience. Like, this is where I complain when it comes to voice acting. There's people will be like, oh, well, that character's this. You should have that type of person voicing it. Like, are you going to find, like, a green alien person to voice a green alien character?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But seeing the people saying...
go by voice.
I know, exactly. But it's just seeing people saying... get rid of Western actors and replace them all with Japanese because they're the only people who know what they're doing. It's just like, when did being a Western voice actor become so damning lately? Do people think everyone was involved in the kick? Right?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about people have this like mindset now that there's appropriation going on, and I'm like,
and no. I'm just talking about it, but they were saying this. They were saying this even for a Western animation. I saw some people say everything should be done by Japanese. It's like...
So, like, if it's a Disney animated movie, it should be voiced by Japanese.
And there, for their eyes, yes, because they basically think all Western actors suck.
That's so stupid. I mean...
I agree.
What, is it their bias? Is it some type of bias against certain people that are actors that they are just... And they're just projecting that onto all actors?
I mean, let's go over the recent Baby Shark debacle recently. Just today.
Oh, I haven't heard about this. Go on.
I think I linked that to you, where apparently they recasted an anime without telling the original, and the new actors had no clue. Now, I'll be honest. Stephanie Sheh did not say the worst thing possible, but her attitude did stink a little. You know what I mean? Where she's basically acting like
that's bad business, and that's something Disney had done a lot with regular actors.
Oh yeah, and I'll say I feel it's the company Boom something Big Bang Boom or something anime, and basically they're the ones responsible. Now for Stephanie Sheh to say that these actors should have gone, done research, or whatever, it's like they didn't know even what the title was.
Yeah, no, they're just hired to do a job.
But at least she backpedaled a little bit, made it clear. Yeah.
Yeah, they're hired to do a job. They're like, they come in, here's a script.
It's to make a living. It's to make a living.
From you. Yeah, they're not that much. They don't have that much power in the production of the. They're not the director. They're not the producers. I mean, these people need to just give up. Exactly. I should make Robert read Vagabond.
What is Vagabond? What is Vagabond?
That's the one I was telling you about earlier about Vikings.
Oh. Maybe. I don't know if that's my interest. If you like
Berserk, you might like it.
No, I'm not into Berserk. Hey, I'm picky.
It's okay. It's okay. It's more about a guy's journey from childhood into adulthood and realizing revenge might not always be the answer.
Fair enough. I'll say this. Can I give you an example of a case where the English dub had a decline of quality, but it's because they kept... it was one of those cases where they kept changing the cast each installment.
Yes. That's like...
Saber Marionette J. Saber Marionette J.
When they keep changing like a studio doing a season for anime art, drives me nuts. Like One Punch Man season 2, I was just like, what the hell happened?
But this went back to the 2000s or whatever with Saber Marionette J. First season had Ocean dub, so you had Brad Swiley. You had so many of the big names that we know about. Maggie Blue O'Hara as line, perfect choice. Then you had the OVA. Which had still some recognizable voice actors cast, but you still had to adjust to it. You had Mary Elizabeth McGlynn and so many others there. Then you went to Saber Marionette Jada X. I looked up, almost none of the actors involved have anything you can find what else they've been in. It was just
trying to save money.
Yeah, big time.
Trying to save money.
And I talked to Brad Swiley about it, and he said he loved working on it. I'm like, it's such a shame you guys didn't stick around. He's like, I know. And I still remember the first time I met him, it was at a Youmacon, and I still remembered showing him the big box set with the anime. And he just looked at me, he's like, whoa, what the? He had no idea it existed. And it turns out he signed his name right next to the creator of the anime because it was a pre-assigned box set.
It's a shame. I noticed this. I think it's a industry wide problem. Like they're trying to save money in places. Like CGI creators are getting screwed over. And like the decline in the quality of MCU, and it's become we need to save money, and what you're doing is you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Oh, but Carrie, everyone's making Tom Cruise all money, didn't you know?
Yeah, okay. Tom Cruise is the only one who probably had a successful box office this year.
Yeah, but you get no. Mission Impossible didn't do so well.
Okay, well, that's because a lot of people aren't going to
okay, I'm making fun at people who are saying that no one should be on strike. I'm getting so pissed off at seeing that. Everywhere
but I was using Top Gun 2.
Right.
Top Gun
was that this year or was that last year? Was that this year?
I'm sorry, that was last year. It was like the tail end. I'm sorry, but still.
Yeah, but still, like I said, those who are complaining about the strike and saying none of these writers should be having it, none of these actors should. It's like
because they're only focusing on the people who wrote things badly. Like I hear them all the time going about, well, I hope they all get fired. Look at what they did to The Witcher. Not everybody worked on The Witcher. Get over it.
Exactly. or Rings of Power.
Yeah, no, it's like there's other people there who are damn good writers who are not getting a chance, and then if they are getting hired for stuff, they're getting screwed over.
Oh boy, and then I saw this other meme. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I saw this other meme on a similar thing where they're basically saying, oh, look at this. It all started with Adventure Time. And that's why all these other shows, because there's people working there who, through all the people involved, they're able to get their own show made. And that's why all of animation's gone to shit. It's like, no, that's how the industry works, you idiot. That's always, even before Adventure Time. How many people involved with stuff like Dexter's Lab would help out in getting other people their own career? I mean, look at with Dexter's and Johnny Bravo. You had Butch Hartman, Seth MacFarlane, and I think, and it was either Gendy or Craig who were involved with that one. But either way, they went up and did great stuff afterwards as well and helped each other out. And then it'd be a snowball trickle-down effect. But that's what happens in the animation stuff. And people are saying, oh, it's because of Adventure Time, we got Rebecca Sugar doing Steven Universe, and through that we have all these other people doing their show. Like, yeah, and a lot of those shows might have had bad execution, but were brilliant in concept. Why are these people not looking at it? Because they have to find something to bitch about.
Yeah, they do. It's like, look, I've gotten to the point, and it's not like I'm trying to create an echo chamber for myself on social media, but there's certain things that become so redundant, I just end up like muting words. I just muted Star Wars today because I got sick and tired of all the crap.
Let's go with Steven Universe. I like that show. It got a little long in the tooth and everything, and they fumbled the ending. They didn't drop it into the fire like Star and the Forces of Evil, where it came out of nowhere. But I give them props though. They knew they had an option. They either go with the wedding or they see it to the end and have enough time to do it. They stuck to their guns and went with the wedding, even though it compromised their ending. I still give them props for seeing it through to the end.
Yeah.
It's like it was a choice, and I'm like, okay, go ahead. You know what I mean? But and
here's another thing. I'm gonna throw out. I don't mean to, but people think that the creators have full control on things. It is not true. Like I was having a discussion today about, Sam Raimi might direct an Avenger movie. I'm like, okay, so it's just not gonna excite me. I like Sam Raimi. He's going to direct, but he's not writing it. You're going to have a guy who just wrote 5 other things for the freaking MCU that bombed. And you're going to have the studio, which was a big complaint from Edgar Wright, was constantly up in their face changing stuff. It happens in the animation side, too. You've got people go with this creative idea, and then the studio goes, no, you know what would work?
Yeah,
we want to see this.
She-Ra, let's be honest, that was the animator having complete control over that one. Because they agreed, Netflix agreed with them. Let's be honest on that one.
Yes, exactly.
But other ones, like, again, Steven Universe, they were constantly butting heads. Constantly.
Yes. It's and like, you know why just to answer figure drawing, and it's related to this. You know why One Piece was also done well? Because Oda was heavily involved. They had to put things through to Oda before they could even do it. Because if he said no, they couldn't do it. There was a couple things they did fight him on and got, but he had full control.
Unlike Cowboy Bebop, where the guy didn't know about it until afterwards.
And he asked to be involved, and they didn't even let him be involved. So if you're creating something, make sure you're involved. Be like Oda.
Exactly. Be like Oda. And exactly. But still, though, it's like that's why these creators be involved, to make sure it sticks to the vision. Like I said, and you know the reason why it was on a ticking time clock once they went with the wedding, because they knew one of the biggest viewership was in areas of the world would have been, they would have dropped it immediately if they went with a gay wedding.
Yes.
Like the Philippines and all that. It's like they knew that was one of their biggest audience. They was going to take a hit. So basically they knew they were committing suicide, a TV show suicide by going with it, but they stuck to their guns. And like I said, I applaud them. You have other shows like Star Wars: The Force is Evil. Up until the end, not a bad show. Owl House. Again, you have all these hate dumps and toxic fandoms. You have both of them. But at the same time, though, the show itself, it's not, if you take them away, push them away, the shows aren't all that bad.
You know what's another animation that was very popular until it got screwed over? And this was something I blame not just the studio, but I also blame the fact that they were listening to a small minority of people online who wanted to see headcanon. Voltron, Defenders of the Universe on Netflix.
Oh, yeah, because that was a great show, and
yeah, it's like, all right, and then they took Keith, or whatever they called him in the show, off the board.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like the leader of the Voltron Force. I'm going to go on like this separate journey with like these alien people to find out about my heritage, and you guys, good luck. Like, wait, where's he going?
Exactly.
And then it's like, oh, Sven needed to be gay. We need to make. I'm like, there was no build up for that. It was just there.
There was no, except in the fans' heads.
Exactly. I didn't even mind that they made Pitch a girl because I thought it was handled well.
Yep.
But like,
sorry.
It was just bad. Like that ending, I just sat there and I'm like, what did you do to the show?
Okay, I originally felt the same way about the Ruby fans until they made it very clear. No, Bumblebee was always a canon ship. It just took, they kept on, they weren't sure how to write it, which makes a bit more sense. But I still, oh boy, this was Ruby, of course, and I still remember one bit that really ticked me off. Okay, here's the setup. Okay, Yang and Blake, Bumblebee, the two shippers, the two ships, are separated. They're off doing their own thing. Blake is going through a bit of an emotional ringer, and Yang, one of them is going through a bit of an emotional ringer. On the other side, you have a close friend gets nearly mortally wounded, and then when they read up again, they're like trying to get that person, that friend, medical attention and everything, and yet then okay, figure drawing. You're asking questions that are off topic. Give us a moment, we'll get to it. But anyway, and then the two meet up, and then all the shit were like, I'm pissed because they didn't kiss. It's like, time and place, you idiots. Yes, they've been separated for a lot of episodes, but that would be the worst moment to have their first kiss. It's right there when it's an emotional wreck of a moment.
I upset a whole bunch of newbie One Piece fans because of the live action are insisting that Zoro and Nami become a relationship. I said Oda has stated in multiple interviews and in multiple articles, and even the showrunner said, no romance.
Fair enough.
No romance. Because maybe he might develop something later in the manga, but at this point he doesn't want romance because it's going to ruin everything that's happening.
Yeah, I figured I'm talking about that last one with April. But yeah, I hear you. Yes. And again, I understand that. And I'll be honest, isn't Zoro and Nami a long-standing ship from back in the day when the show first started?
Yes. Until after the time jump, they don't have as much interactions because they always seem to end up in situations where they're not together.
But funny thing is, though, Naruto proved you don't have to keep the couple together that long to have the ship work. Although, to be fair, in that regard, that's because the anime did such a good job that the creator said, you guys handle it. I can't do relationship worth a darn.
Right, and Otis says he's never been comfortable with romance. Though, the other thing is, I don't know where he's going to go because he's such a master of writing. He has introduced other characters that could potentially be romantic interests for the characters.
It's kind of like Toriyama. Sorry.
Yeah, go on. Toriyama.
Okay. It's like Toriyama when it was writing relationship. He's always said he sucks at it, and yet Gohan and Videl and Vegeta and Bulma and Goku and Chi-Chi, for the most part, are very well handled, and yet, of course, a lot of them relied on time skips for it to happen, but it still worked out, and even the case of Gohan and Videl. Although Gohan and Videl was one of the first that were on panel, but that's because you realize their personalities complemented each other. Gohan was very reactive, passive. Videl was very proactive and aggressive, and they worked. They complemented each other. Yes, I saw that. Totally Not Mark's Boo Saga video.
You know, it's another one that's an example, I think, in my opinion, of a creator feeling pressured to fulfill a ship. And I don't know if you know much about Naruto. But it'd be Sakura and Sasuke. That's the one with the little blonde kids, the ninja. Yeah.
Yep. No. I mentioned Hinata. Did you not hear me mention Hinata earlier?
No. Yeah. Well, I think even at least he gave some type of development in a movie for that relationship, even though I still thought it was weak. You didn't get that with Sakura and Sasuke. He was trying to kill her at the end of the Naruto Shippuden, and then he helped them defeat people. And then you start a new series with Boruto, and they have a kid, and they're married. I'm like,
that is right up there with Gwen and Kevin getting together in Ben 10.
Yes.
Although in that case, at least they tried to explain why Kevin's not as bad as he was in the old show.
Yeah, they at least tried something. They didn't give you any explanation how these two got together. I said he tried to kill her, and he didn't even hesitate to try to kill her. If Kakashi didn't step in, she would have been dead.
Okay, now figure dry. What was my problem with April? She wasn't April. She was April in name only. It's basically, it's like this. Yes, she was a blogger. What else of her personality was there? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There was nothing about her characterization. I will say this. It's kind of a decline that started with the 2012 series where you made her a kid. It worked in there, though. She was still close enough to the April we loved and adored. Then you had Rise of the Ninja Turtles, where they made her a kid and black, but you're like, they've already changed enough of the show as it is, but she still had some semblance of the energy of the 2012 version. This version, she's a blogger, but she's not as go-to about it. In fact, there's this whole throw a vomit moment. There is a, you'll see it when you see it. You have, in fact, she's not. Oh, no, it's just one scene. The rest of the movie is actually good. But then she's not getting in on the action as much as the old April did. You have, she was told, you liked her. Oh, that's your opinion. You're fine. To like her. In my opinion, though, she is not April. She's April in name only. They could have given her something else. She could have been Irma, and it would have made more sense.
He had another question. It's a good one.
Oh, yeah. This is a tough one. An anime where you guys like better than the manga counterpart. I personally have not really. I can give one. Saber Marionette J, but that was because of the case where the manga came after the anime started. But still, it counts.
Yeah, it's a good one because I think I like most of the time the manga more than the anime. Is there anything with like
Speed Racer
anime?
I think Speed Racer. I would say that one.
Yeah, you know what it is though? I think it's because when you read manga and if it's done right, there's a lot more plot and detail. It's gonna get edited out.
I'll say this. Which one would I? Here's the case where I would say the anime and manga complement each other, and that's Spy Family.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's a great example. I think they do a good job of complementing each other.
Yeah, one is not better than the other, but
Even with One Piece, and this is what I want to warn people who are going to go jump and grab the manga for One Piece. It is not going to start off the same way the anime and the live action.
Oh, from what I hear, no.
No, it's going to jump right into the childhood thing. The anime also took a lot of liberties. Like, they had Nami kind of like doing like these little background appearances in different scenes she wasn't even in the manga. It's kind of like, and the live action is definitely takes a lot more liberties because they needed to get people to meet quicker.
Which I think Oda knew that. I think Oda knew that. He probably dealt enough with it with the anime. He knew there has to be some compromises. Like, here's a question. You know what? One anime though I'm weary about, or manga, an anime that I'm weary about being made, the Uzumaki one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because right now, you want my honest opinion,
terrified
the animes. The Jinji Ito animes have not been good. They've not been good, in my opinion.
Now this one looks like it has potential, but it could easily be botched.
I like they're keeping it black and white, which was my other complaint with the other adaptions, because they put them in color.
Oh, you can't do it in color. You could not do
something.
The spirals on the places, you couldn't. You couldn't.
No. So we will see. I think it's coming out on Netflix. But you know what is coming out and I do have a high hopes for?
What's that?
Is Pluto. Now, if you're a fan of Astro Boy.
Oh!
It is by Urasawa. Now, if you don't know who Urasawa is, he's like a big, huge mangaka. And he and the creator of Astro Boy kind of got together, and he let him write a manga series. It's not a long manga series.
Wait. Pluto is in the giant robot?
Yes.
Oh! Yes! The one from the famous multi-powder of the strongest robot.
Right, and it's more of a murder mystery, and Astro Boy's not the main character. It's that one robot. Like he's like a.
Oh, that's one of my favorite arcs. That's one of my favorite arcs.
Yeah, and he's investigating the murder of all these famous robots, and there's a lot of callbacks to characters. It's a very much more, I would say. They're taking mature. Mm-hmm. It's a more like for old school fans. It's an older take. Like if
I get it, they're basically taking that famous strongest robot, but making it more grounded and everything. Because that same thing happened where the robots were getting killed off, but that's what they were giant robots getting killed off. And yeah, it's the son of the creator who's watching over him.
In this, there's you're gonna know the different robots if you know a lot about Astro Boy that suddenly get attacked because they were all together in a big war for robot rights and humans be safe. And this figure is killing them, and it's a big mystery and who's killing them. And Astro Boy gets involved because he was also part of this war, and he's already got the family. His sister also makes an appearance in it. Again,
I'm just looking at the names, and I recognize them. Mount Blanc, North number 2, Brando, Hercules, Epsilon, Atom. Obviously that's Astro Boy, but I recognize so many of these. Wow, I did not. How did I not know about this?
Yeah, you gotta. The manga's not very long. I think is it like 8 volumes?
8 volumes. 8 volumes. It ended. Obviously, it was going to be a limited series because that was a limited arc.
Yes. Yeah, because he got permission from the creator to do it.
Oh, the creator.
And Urasawa is like, Urasawa is like a great. If you ever read Monster, that's another great mystery.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good ones. I would say check him out. 20th Century Boys is another one.
Yep, I see them right here. But yeah, seriously though, that is great. That was always my favorite arc. I think that was everyone's favorite arc of Astro Boy. Was the world's strongest one because that was the biggest influence.
Yes, and it's from the eyes of the.
You mentioned figure drawing. You mentioned great teacher Onizuka. I know about that.
Yes, it's a great series.
Yep,
great series. You know what I'm reading right now?
One of Steve Bloom's first voice acting roles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Great
what?
teacher. There's a Korean manhwa on, and it's on Webtoons if you have Webtoons. It's
I
called
do.
Get Schooled. It would be
Oh.
like there it's the premise is that they've stopped like in high schools they stopped physical discipline.
Oh.
But so now there's a problem and a loophole that high school kids have figured out that they can get away with whatever they want to do
hmm
because now the teachers can't, they're limited in what they could do to punish them. So then the head of education gets pissed off with this. So he creates a group and he puts a guy who's like a John Wick type character. He was special forces and he goes into these schools to handle the bullies. The difference
hmm
between him and the teachers is he's got full authority to do whatever.
Oh.
So it's like sending John Wick to clean up your worst high
Oh,
school.
jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And, you know, again, it's also a cultural thing. So if you're like, oh, that's terrible, he's beating up teenagers. These kids do far worse than what he does to them. Okay.
Right. But again, just but again, though, just so many of these. You know, I just read since we're going to be running out a little bit of time, but I just want to bring up some other stupid outrage, like the pronoun stuff.
Is this with the video game stuff?
Yep. What? I just want to say, it's the complaint.
I want to give an example where I can understand people getting upset about it. Can I do that?
Go ahead.
There is a manga anime called Komi Can't Communicate, and it's about this girl who's very popular, pretty, but she's got social anxiety and she can't talk. Mm-hmm. One of the kids she makes a friend with is a boy. He identifies as a boy. He uses the he, him pronouns throughout the thing in the manga, okay? But he likes to cross-dress, and like he confuses his one elementary school friend because sometimes he's a girl, and then there'll be other times where he'll dress as a boy.
Mm-hmm.
In the anime on Netflix in the English dub, they keep referring him to as they them.
Oh no!
And I'm like, but that's not the translation from the manga.
Oh boy, you know what one anime I can so imagine would explode today? You ever heard of I, My, Me, Strawberry Eggs?
No.
It's the case with this one guy. He wants to be a great gym teacher. Unfortunately, the only school he can go to is a school where the headmistress is very much against the idea of it's an old a girls' school, I believe. So basically, they're all saying about, but yeah, she won't even want the idea of a male teacher, even if he's good. So what does he do? Because he needs the money for his rent, his landlady actually helps him out in trying to in to dress up like a woman and everything.
Like a Mrs. Doubtfire type thing.
Yep, it's very convincing, looks very well, and by this going on, he as her starts to bring change. Like for example, because they don't want to have the girls wearing those shorts, so boys can argue at them. They have to wear these long skirts, which are horrible at doing gym stuff.
Right.
But thankfully, through some showing example, they're able to get back the old little shorts again, because it actually allows them to perform their gymnastics.
That reminds me of the movie.
What?
Well, that's an old manga. That's old,
I know.
and I don't think like this.
Well, I Might Me was like early 2000s. That was early 2000s. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but
I don't. Yeah, and I don't think they've caught on to Rama and a half yet.
Oh, geez, if they did, they would blow their tops because, and again, that was made very clear. There's no transgender anything in it. It's mysticism. It's a curse. Like, it's a curse.
I keep hating you. I know I keep using this, but it's only because it's one of the most diverse mangas out there. But in One Piece, like early on, they did introduce gay and transgender characters. But I understood back, like, because when they came out, it was like early 2000s. So some people might see them now as kind of like problematic with their images. Because there's one character who's pretty much what's his name from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Dr. Frankenfurter.
Yes, with the fishnet stockings. He's got a purple
I'm just a sweet
wig.
transvestite from Transsexual Transylvania.
Later on, they actually introduce a trans character in the current Wano arc I thought was well done.
Oh, did you see anyone? Did you see the usual suspects complain about it?
No, and I'm surprised the usual suspects aren't complaining about Nami in the live action.
Well, they did it first.
But that's another story.
They did it first. But that's the other thing, though. When I see these people complain, and they bring up, how many times does it bother you when they keep bringing up, when they're talking about dubs, they keep bringing up the usual, the mainstream stuff, My Hero Academia stuff, when it's like, I was there around when the big bulk of animes were made that were very good, and you guys never talk about it because you guys clearly don't know what they're talking about.
I know, it's all about Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like, God,
who is the Slayers?
On Cartoon Network.
Yeah. Remember Slayers? Do you remember Slayers?
Yeah. Yes.
Love that anime.
Star. That's still one of my
Outlaw
favorites.
Star. Great dub. Kenji Muyo.
Hellsing. Of course, there's two versions of Hellsing now.
Fullmetal Alchemist, of course, both versions.
Yeah. I do like Brotherhood better, though, but that's me.
Well, everyone does because it's closer to it.
Oh, yeah, and we got cheated sometimes. Mm-hmm. We got cheated sometimes with anime because sometimes they would just either because like you were bringing up earlier, they were writing the manga as the anime was out. So sometimes you didn't get the ending, or you got an ending that didn't match up with the manga. I think Soul Eater was the biggest one of the ones.
Yep. Oh, then of course you have some animes that are going on forever. You know, there's no way they're going to keep the anime going. Like stuff like Case Closed.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know that was still going on. Somebody mentioned it to me.
It's still going on. And that's a case of notoriously having so much filler. Majority of it is filler.
That was my biggest problem with Bleach.
Mm-hmm.
Bleach had so much damn filler.
I'm talking about the manga. It's filler. I'm talking about the manga. It's mostly filler.
That's the worst.
The manga is mostly filler. Was very rarely do they actually progress the ongoing plot. Most of it is a case of the week. Okay, but here's a couple other animes I can list off. Elfen Lied, Eureka 7, Excel Saga, Oh My Goddess, A Certain Magical Index. Let me see if you want it. Familiar. Yeah, Chobits, The Familiar of Zero, Fate Stay Night, Angel Sanctuary. I'm just listening to stuff that I recognize. Azumanga Daioh, Fruit Basket, Full Metal Panic, Fooly Cooly.
I love Full Metal Panic. I rewatch that every once in a while.
Big O. That was a case where it was so big in the States, they continued it because Cartoon Network paid for more.
Yes.
Black Cat, Black Lagoon, Black Butler. And of course, the ever famous Ghost Story. One of the best gag dubs.
They just dropped a trailer for Black Butler to season 2.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. I said it only took you how many freaking years?
Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. Gurren Lagann. Grenadier. Claymore. Code GS.
All the Gundam.
All the Gundams. Hare plus Goo. D and Angel. D Grayman. Obviously, Death Note, Hunter x Hunter.
Galaxy Railway.
So many of the Digimon.
Captain Harlock.
Iki Townsend, IGBK, Immortal Grand Prix. Ninja Scroll. Inuyasha. Initial D.
Samurai Shampoo.
Samurai Shampoo. Hold on. Paranoid Agent. Kenichi, the Mightiest Disciple.
Gundam
Lucky Star.
Lucky Star.
Yep.
The Dragon Ball series that was around before Dragon Ball Z.
Yep, of course. Hold on, there's a few others. Read or Die. I love Read or Die. Rosario plus Vampire. Rosario plus Vampire. Magical Girl. Yep, Death Note, Magical Girl, Lyrical Nanoa, Sakura Roars, many of the Mega Man anime, Samurai 7, School Rumble. School Rumble, Monster, Monster Rancher, Soul Eater. I'm just breezing through a big list of stuff. And these are just in the 2000s. But you hear anyone talk about these?
No, it's the same like 5 I hear about.
Yeah. Hold on. Beautiful Joe had it. Vampire Knight.
Vampire Knight. Vampire Hunter D.
Yep. Witchblade, the anime. Wolfrain.
Witchblade. Oh yes.
Witch Hunter Robin.
Yes. Oh, I still have it on DVD.
I love Zoids, Zatch Bell, the Transformers animes, Tokyo Underground,
the X-Men anime.
Yep, the X-Men, all those different animes. Trinity Blood. Yeah, Trinity Blood. When They Cry.
City Hunter.
Yeah. Vandred. Oh boy,
Trigun.
I'm not even. Yep, Trigun. I've listed as many as I could. But you get my point. I've listed so many that I just list so many of them that actually have English dubs. All those were English dubs, and yet and I'm pretty sure many of them have varying qualities of execution themselves.
Yeah, especially if you go back to like the 80s stuff, that gets really.
Oh yeah, but even with the 2000s, you still had some iffy ones. Even if they were great animes, you had some iffy ones. But
gotcha, man.
Yep. Like I tried to bring up earlier, when you had Card Captor Sakura. Oh wait, I just realized there's another one. The Haruhi Suzumiya, one of my favorite anime dubs. I adore that one. You have Wendy Lee, Crispin Freeman, so many of the actors. Michelle Ruff, Bridget Hoffman, Johnny Young Bosch, Kari Walgreen, Stephanie Shea, Sam Riegel, Dan Wittenberg, Hayden Welch. So Vic was on there as well. So many of them were involved. That's another good one. What?
The Wallflower. That had a good voice cast too. I think Vic was in that. I'm not sure.
Yep. Oh wait, this was Bang Zoom Studios. That's the one that was notorious for what just happened with the with the Baby Shark one. But yeah, they did some. Scried. Cried. Yeah. Samurai Girl, Real Bout High School.
Samurai X.
Rurouni Kenshin, of course. Talk about a case where you actually had the main actor voicing both versions of the dub.
Yep.
They changed everyone. Eureka! Did I mention Eureka 7?
Yes, you did.
Yes, I thought I did. Ghost Slayers.
Evangeline.
Evangeline. K-On! Nura, Rise of the Yokai Clan.
We're not going to talk about that anime.
Of course, also you have Puala Imaji Madoka Magica.
Inuyasha.
Inuyasha Kill la Kill.
Yep.
Again, you have so many of these. But what do you keep hearing about? Dragon Ball Z, Full Metal, and sometimes Full Metal Alchemist, My Hero Academia,
Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer.
Yeah, it's the same ones, even from people like Yellow Flash. That's all you hear about. But you're like, you're supposed to be the big anime person. Why don't you talk about some of the other good ones? Oh, maybe because you don't know about him? I'm not going to assume he doesn't know. I'm just saying in general.
It's like there was like a time, I remember like in the early 2000s, they were only talking about Naruto, Dragon Ball, One Piece, and Bleach. And I was like, okay, there's other stuff out there, people.
Exactly. And yet, again, I'm just looking through so many of this stuff here, and it's just like, wow, you never hear anyone talk about any of it. Fate Grand Order.
Mm-hmm. Oh, figures
It's not.
said Queen's Blade.
That's another good one. And it's not until they're doing stuff like what's it? Panty and it's Panty and
Kami-sama Kiss is another one.
Yep. What's that one with the angel? What's that one with the two angels who are very promiscuous, to put it bluntly?
You know
what I'm talking about, right?
It's not ringing a bell. No, it's not ringing a bell.
Is it? Hold on.
Meanwhile, Death Note.
Oh, yep. It's what I saw. Panty and stocking with girdle belt.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
That one is. They're actually doing a new season.
Is Biscuit Hammer the one they were doing, and everybody was mad with the anime?
Not sure, but but get this. You want to know what's an inspiration?
We don't talk about Boruto.
But yeah, stocking and it's just stocking and panty. But get this, that's a kid. You want to know what an anime that was an actual inspiration for it was Drawn Together.
Ah.
But yeah, Studio Trigger now has the rights back, so they're going to continue on with it.
Yeah, so they just announced Black Butler. I think there was another one there.
But again, you get my point though. Look how many I listed. Just look how many I listed alone.
And there's more because there's stuff randomly popping up in my head.
I just went with the names I recognized that I knew about. There were so many on that list I didn't even recognize, but I'm like, I just stuck with the ones I recognized.
GTO.
GTO. And yet, I listed all of those. And I've seen a bunch of those. Not all of them all the way through, but I've seen some episodes. So at least I know enough about how good or how bad the anime dub was. And I can say with absolute certainty, a lot of those in those dubs back then match a lot of the dub people are complaining about now.
They don't know they don't know bad dub. Trust me.
No.
We went through bad dub.
Exactly.
80s, 90s stuff. Oh.
Like I said, I brought up Cardcaptor Sakura. That was the case where they completely tried to edit to make it more of an action show when it really wasn't. Or Escaflowne, they tried to trim out the fact that the main character was a girl.
Yeah.
And because it was a giant mech show. That was the only reason why they got it. And then they realized, wait, the main character's a chick? Fuck!
Like Gotcha Man with Battle of the Planets.
Well, to be fair, the Gotcha Man dub itself was good. That was one of the things that put ADV over the edge because they put in so much money to get that and to get when there was a brief window of opening for them to utilize the rights for Macross, and they actually made the dub for Macross. Yeah, they actually had that little window, and they took it. But it broke the bank, and that was one of the things that led to their bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the problem. You can't do it. I think that's the other thing. People have to realize. In most of these dub people have to turn a profit. That was ADV's big problem. They basically thought they were going to earn back the rights for the licenses and they just threw all the money at the wind. They couldn't, and they couldn't because these were niches. Even back then, when anime was starting to get booming, it was still a niche and hardly sold.
Right. It's like, I remember like, you had to like find anime if you wanted to watch it. Like you really had to hunt it down. And then Cartoon Network had whatchamacallit at
Toonami?
Toonami. And I was like, oh, thank God. But then even then, that used to annoy me because like I'd be watching like Naruto, and then it would end an episode and just restart because they didn't have the other episodes yet.
Oh, can I tell you a moment? The first time I ever dealt with that was when it wasn't on Cartoon Network though. It was back when Sailor Moon was on USA, and I still remember. I watched it from the first episode all the way up to the last episode they had, episode 65. Where Rini or Chibiusa finds out that the girls are the Sailor Scouts and everything. They had a big fight with Rubian and all that. And then I'm just like, and it was on a Friday. So I'm like, I can't wait for the next episode. Come Monday, first episode again. I was in tears. I was that young. I had never dealt with going into a rerun that badly.
Oh yeah, it was awful. Like now I get like annoyed when I have to wait a week for another episode of One Piece.
Funny thing about that last episode, though. Funny thing about that last episode. You know who they commissioned to write a song for that?
Who?
Stan frickin' Bush.
Oh wow.
And the song, it's not like he picked the song out of his old one because She's Got the Power. There's a lyric in it that says, with prism power might. That ain't anything else but Sailor Moon.
I also I remember the 4Kid thing. Everybody actually liked some of the song changes they made for some of the animes. Like
my brother was not a bad replacement. A bit preachy, but so was that moment they were going for.
Yeah.
Oh boy, so something they got away with on Pokemon, and yet I gotta say though, even when they went to a different company afterward, that company seemed to follow through with a lot of the stuff, the standards that 4Kids set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did you ever notice that?
I wasn't a huge Pokemon fan because I think at that point I was like,
I was at first, and then they lost me when they got to Johto. Johto took way too damn long.
I think I was going through like when Pokemon was starting to be big. I was older and I was like getting more into like the darker anime stuff where there was like Hellsing and all that with like the more violent because I was just like going through an emo stage because we all did at some point.
Oh yeah, we've all gone through that. Yeah.
Figure Drawing has a question for you.
Okay. Some of my art friends think that manga are more akin to books than comics, and I understand that perspective. Manga and books share so many similarities compared to Western comics. Not all.
I think what they probably are looking at is the Takabon style of the book. That you can put it on a bookshelf and you can just pull it out and read it when you want to, like a book. Whereas compared to like an individual issue of a comic book, you can't really do that. You have to board and bag it and.
Yeah, I don't do that. Mine's on my bookshelf without board and bag.
But still, like you have to put in something to protect it and up there. Where a manga is just like a book. It is. But interior wise, it's more like a comic book, just in black and white.
Oh, kind of like this.
Well, that's an omnibus.
But
or like
it's similar things. Hold on, I'll grab some of my manga.
Manga. Yes, Figure Drawing. I know what you were trying to say. But yeah, it's like you can buy a bookshelf and put all your manga on it. You don't need to have like a certain type of comic book box for it.
No, I know what you mean now, but I just gotta say, because I mentioned it earlier, just want to show this.
That's more like, that's like a big edition. Like, but there's like the smaller, like Takabon editions. Yep. Those are like considered an individual like volume compared to a omnibus. So what you're holding there would be more like an omnibus.
True.
And there's not too many stuff that come out and then like.
Well, I can find all these
manga that are the cheapest price. Actually, no. I still try to get good condition. Now, if you want cheap, I would say go to Right Stuff Anime. They can knock off like normally, like right now. I think Takabon volumes are going for like $8 or $9. If you go on like Right Stuff, you can get them for like $7.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you like go to places like Half Price Books, you can get deals on them. But I don't want something in really bad condition. I want to be able to read it.
What I think very quickly, just a little fun fact. You know what still is one of the funniest anime factoids I will always snicker about?
Sure.
Okay. In Love Hina, you had obviously you had the main characters, obviously, but you had the main character for Naru. She was voiced by Dorothy Elias. You probably remember her from Trigun as Meryl. She was Meryl in Trigun. Yes. But yet she was Naru in that. Now, in the anime, when they get to the OVA, he eventually were then introduced to Keitaro, the main guy character, and Naru's love interest. We introduced his half-sister, Kanako, voiced voiced by Melissa Font. Gad's in it from Invader Zim, among so many, or Edward from Cowboy Bebop. But although in the manga, Naru and Keitaro would get married, and that's making Naru and Kanako in-laws. In real life, Dorothy Elias married Melissa Font's brother.
Oh wow!
So they became real life
Did not know that.
After that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's funny thing when you look at the Love Hina cast. I'm gonna let you what the names. You have Derek Stephen Prince. You have Dorothy Elias. You have Barbara Goodson, Bridget Hoffman, Mona Marshall, Wendy Lee, Julianne Taylor, Kirk Sartan, Steve Bloom. You got this whole big cast, and yet, what ended up happening, right?
Yeah.
It ended up getting bullshit. Like I said, the director ended up throwing in front of the Japanese anime director. Again, not Ken Akamatsu, but the anime directors threw their weight around.
Yeah. See, that's what people don't understand. There's a whole system behind things.
There is a whole system.
Blame one unless you can prove it's the one.
and it doesn't help that the anime itself ended up screwing up the manga. The manga, yes, you had Naru punching Keitaro. It was notorious for the abuse is fine when it's female on male, but even in the anime, it went up to the nth degree. It didn't give Naru almost any redeeming values at all. It made her a total bitch.
Figured asked if we've read Space Brothers. I have not. I've heard about it. I've not read it.
Well, that's more than I have. I've never heard of it.
I don't think it's out in English here.
That's probably why,
friend Taco, I think he got somebody who had translated it and bought it off them.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I think I brought this up, but you know what? Still, with one anime, I still groan because, oh boy, something like that would be relevant. That would be a case of The Usual Suspects. We could use it, and I know I mentioned to you. I gotta make sure I got it right. Yeah, Master of Martial Arts. That's the one with the notorious final episode that totally derails everything. You know that? Boy. You know about that one?
No, I don't. No. Okay. Go on, tell me.
Okay. It starts off as a traditional type of girl fighting girl, showing off, clothes exploding and everything, being very TNA.
All the tropes, yes.
But then the very last episode, total 180. Okay, have you ever heard of the infamous example with School Days?
Yes. Yes.
It is right up there. It is right up there, if not worse.
I had a friend who watched that show, and then when he got to that ending, he came into work, and he was just so pissed off.
Well, yeah, because that's the funny thing is, though, that's one of the bad endings for School Days.
Yeah.
That's the worst part. It's one of the bad endings of that. But you're like, why did you go with that?
It's like, he's like, this is not that type of story. And you just switch genres in the last episode.
Well, that's exactly what this one does. It turns out the ending is one of the worst endings. Turns out the whole thing was a front. There was no big prize. And it turns out everyone who got defeated were turned into sex slaves. And that they, turns out the main character, her mother actually was secret. This sweet girl, was actually a notorious person who did something similar to some of the people she considered her best friends. Turns out her best friends hated her. They hated her. Now, even though she was a legitimate sweet girl, they hated her because of what her parents did. And they were trying to ruin her and mess up her life and everything. So they created this thing to turn Natsume's mother and aunt, to turn them into sex slaves, which led to them then teaming up and then trying to go on this whole big plan of psycho revenge. And then by the end, it's just this whole dumb thing, and it's all done to take mean-spirited pot shots at those who like that type of fighting anime. The whole point of it was to be like, fuck you all for getting off on this stuff.
Oh, God.
Okay, here's what it says. Here's what it says. All right.
It's like, you want to see Luke Skywalker? Here you go. He doesn't want to do anything.
Exactly. It says like here. Like for example, under TV tropes, not just a tournament. Every girl who loses the tournament is mind raped into an empty shell state before being conditioned to sexual slavery and sold. The entire thing is being conducted as a cycle of revenge by the daughters of two sisters who wound up on the losing end of similar tournaments organized by Aya, Aya's father, which Aya's mother won. The two cousins want the same thing their mothers got put through to happen to Aya as revenge against both their parents. And they don't care what happened to the other contestants.
Oh, Jesus.
And then it says here, which inadvertently flips Aya, because Aya basically beats the shit out of her last opponent. After everything else being played for laughs, it gets into this. And then, again, it's just, And just as Aya's about to be killed by her friend, her own mother shows up and kills them all off. So again, the whole thing was just simply, like I said, a big fuck you for anyone who liked it.
Oh, God.
It's
like you're a Star Wars fan, huh? It's like
not
you're a Star Wars fan. Let me give you The Last Jedi.
And even the actors involved with the dub regret working on it.
Oh, I'm sure they sat there and went, "What the hell?"
Exactly. But again, the fact that they pulled off a twist like that, and this was one of the more notorious ones. Yeah, it actually says right here, the anime is bad. Yeah, it says this. The anime seems to be a typical panty fighter tournament series for the first 4 episodes. But there are hints that the platonic heart tournament is not just a tournament. Then, comes the final episode.
Oh, Jesus.
Again, you're just like, what? And again, that was 4 episodes of being one thing, and then the very last episode is where the twist comes up. It's just like, fuck you!
Oh, my God.
But like I said, though, but like I said, I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, this is just right up there with some of those left-wing SJW type of mindsets of one. I could so imagine whoever involved having a very liberal viewpoint in Japan, because this feels like something a leftist would come up with, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. It sounds like modern Hollywood.
And it's just like, again, especially the fact that it's just such a mean-spirited fuck you for getting off on it.
It's like, you want to see the hero save the day? No!
No! Let's see. But seriously, and yet you're almost captivated by wanting to see this train wreck.
Yeah.
But then you regret it.
When I sat in there for Last Jedi, I wasn't expecting it to be a train wreck. It was more like
the trailer fooled you. The trailer fooled you into thinking it was going to be good.
Yeah, and I sat there in that movie theater with my brother and my mother, who are all Star Wars fans, and I could feel the fume coming off my brother.
Especially
so the minute
Luke
Skywalker threw it over his shoulder.
I feel bad for Mark in that regard. I feel bad for Mark. This was all under protest. You know it was all under protest.
Yeah. You know, it's the worst part. I've never sat in a movie theater where there's a big blockbuster film that everybody's been hyped for, that nobody said anything throughout the whole thing. It was like dead silence. And then at the very end, when the credits rolled,
did someone yell?
Everybody got up and just walked out.
It was like a wake.
Star Wars died. Nobody even stayed for the Carrie Fisher tribute. They were just like, we get out, and my brother's fast walking out the front door of the theater, and I'm like, it's gonna happen.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
I went home and canceled a whole bunch of stuff I pre-ordered. Yeah.
Okay, well, we should start wrapping up, but so what do you got going on your channel?
It might not be out tomorrow, but it'll probably be out Saturday. I am doing a new series on my channel called Manga 101, where I kind of explain things in under 15 minutes. I did one recently about manga and manhwa, and this one's going to be about the difference between shonen and seinen.
Ooh,
so
nice.
Look forward to that.
I've got at least a few other episodes in the can of Pro Teaches Noob. Sorry, not featuring Carrie. It was the choice of either record or do the stream. We've been wanting to do the stream, so...
Yeah, we needed to vent.
We needed to vent, yes. Also, I got a couple of Hulk trades in.
Oh, nice.
Jason Aaron and Mark Wade's runs. So I've been reading through those. Yeah, I've realized that Hulk is my favorite Marvel character, more than Spider-Man.
Oh, that's nice. I don't blame you. It's a great character.
Great character, especially when I have all the Peter David omnibuses.
Exactly.
Because it's Peter David. Peter freaking David.
I am also working on I did it last week was a manga for comic book fans looking to start manga. And I'm going to do another one in the future. But this week I'm also going to do for Manga Monday for you new One Piece fans looking where to go next in the series now that the live action has ended. Season 1.
Oh,
so
wait, one anime I gotta ask you quickly. Are you looking forward for the Scott Pilgrim anime?
Oh yeah, I like how they did the animation in that. It actually looks like a graphic novel.
I know.
Another one I'm looking forward to is and Kaiju number 8 looks good too. I was worried about that in the beginning, but it doesn't look that bad.
Yep. And hopefully Ingrid and I eventually, when it comes out, we want to see Godzilla -1.
That looks so good.
It does. Although, funny enough, I asked Raymond, asked him, so what, is this a remake of the first movie? Hominus, it's a animated adaptation of the Scott Pilgrim graphic novels with the movie cast reprising their roles. Oh boy, do you think anyone's going to bitch in more about Brie Larson?
Oh yeah, I know. What was it? You know what? Did you see the one Harley Quinn Isekai?
Yeah,
it's an anime where Harley Quinn. I was like, we'll see. I need to see another trailer.
Yeah. Oh, that one. Yeah. Don't you mean it's a Suicide Squad, isn't it?
They call it Suicide Squad, but it only really features Harley.
But it's just the teaser. Let's be honest.
Yeah, maybe they'll have everybody else in it. We'll see.
Right. But we're gonna get started talking, so let's just wrap up. Well, thank you though for joining me, Gary. Thank you for everyone else, and we'll see you all on the next one.
Bye, guys.